We're going to go over the beautiful and evil Morgan, why she's the best legendary in all of King Arthur Legends Rise. We get her for free on day one. Do not neglect playing Morgan. You need to put everything you have into her. Every single one of her relics are amazing. Her passives are amazing. Her chivalries are amazing. So any kind of additional increase you get to level up passives, to do her chivalries, put them into Morgan. These are memory stones. Memory stones take place of having the actual hero to level up their chivalry. This first chivalry will increase your damage of all your heroes by 20% as long as it's night. And we get an additional hero, Tauren, for free on day one as well. And if you have her first chivalry, she'll turn it to night. It will be night always when you go into a battle. 20% additional damage for your team is enormous. If you're not playing King Arthur Legends Rise, download it with the links below. Then when you have additional copies or more memory stones from story mode, adventure mode, and events, take her to Chivalry 3. This is the bread and butter of what Morgan does for you because it feeds off of this passive right here. This passive puts up 40% decreased defense and the enemy takes 80% additional damage. This is why we play her. This is why we push content and can hit so damn hard. The second passive, we want this too. Knock back that attack gauge, and we remove buffs. Don't worry about the first passive. All we want is the second and third maxed out. And when you start out, this third passive will only be applied when you do her skill 1. So you're going to have to really micromanage what you do with that skill 2 going into the skill 1, or if you want to cast that skill 3 with her flame relic to get even more damage on the target with this damage taken too, you could do that as well. If you have skill books, try to get this second one maxed out because you're knocking back their attack gauge. That means they're not taking turns. You apply those debuffs on them and you're stopping them from taking a turn and dropping off these debuffs that you've applied. And there's a lot of content later on at in-game where we're just going to knock back their attack gauge and they're not even going to get a chance to take a turn. That's why this is so amazing. She has a sleep on her skill 1, which you can use to put somebody to sleep for a turn. And if you're lucky enough to get the Frost or the Storm Relic, they are equally as powerful as the Flame one, though I think I use the Flame one more to knock back the attack gauge, to keep those debuffs up, to make sure the enemy can't take a turn more than I do with the Storm or the Frost. But Storm, if they have high defense like Audrey, bring this in. In-game Hell mode where they have extremely high defense, use this Storm Relic to knock back their defense and you'll do even more damage. And then if they don't have high defense, bring in this Frost Relic to put up more debuffs so they'll take damage and to strip their buffs. Once you have her Chivalry 3, you don't have to go any further. This additional speed is nice, and it is important to make sure that your Morgan is the fastest on your team, or at least faster than your damage dealing heroes, because you want to get up these debuffs before they attack. When you first start playing, you won't have this passive skilled, so it's only for one turn. So you got to make sure the enemy's attack gauge is low, so then she can do her skill 1, apply these debuffs, and then your damage dealers can come in there and do some serious damage before that enemy takes a turn and these drop off. Just pay attention to that. To land those debuffs and knock back the attack gauge, we have to have effect accuracy. We can get it on the necklace and we can get it on the belt. When you first start out, you're not going to need high effect accuracy. You're going to want to look for this as substats on some of your gear, but 80% is good for in-game. So look over here for the neck, look for the belt later on when you start playing, when you start noticing that you're not knocking back the attack gauge, that you're not applying those debuffs. And a vigor set and an effect accuracy set is what you're going to use from day one all the way to forever. This is the only set to use on your Morgan, so you can do your skills more often and you can apply all your debuffs and knock back that attack gauge. If you're curious about some of these effects, select the hourglass, select it again, and then come down here to effect accuracy. But I'm going to give you the description of this because a lot of people are always asking questions on how this works. When you look at a skill and you see there's a 60% chance to knock back the attack gauge on each of these hits, that's a 60% chance for you to actually fire off the ability, not for it to stick on the target and affect the target. So you've got a 60% chance each of these hits to even send it off. There's a 40% chance that nothing will happen on each of these hits. Once you send it off with that 60% chance, then we have to do a check of our effect accuracy versus their effect resistance. And if we win that check, then we knock back the attack gauge or apply the debuffs. But there's no way to increase that 60% additional chance to knock down their attack gauge except for additional skills down here. We're going to do some battles right now explaining more of this, but Morgan is used in every single dungeon except for Gorgos. in every single gear dungeon here with all the dragons, used in the clan raids, used in forbidden dungeons, absolutely, the favorite dungeon, and in both of these. And then, of course, going through story mode, going through adventure mode, she is used everywhere. Let's see why she's the most powerful. We're on hell mode right now. These guys have extremely high HP and defense. We're going to apply the debuffs on the far right. The middle and the left don't have any at all. We're going to do an AoE attack with Cormac, and that's a big difference in overall damage. The middle guy is barely taking any damage, the far left a little bit, and our right guy is now, since he's been hit a few more times, is almost at half life. This is how we beat waves, how we take down bosses before they kill us, by putting this debuff up and getting our damage in there to knock out the sides on a boss that we're struggling to beat first, so then we can heal through everything else to take out different targets going through story mode, going through adventure mode. Definitely in the forbidden dungeon, there's a lot of targets in there we got to take out before they cause too much trouble and start taking our team apart. This is why we use Morgan everywhere, and why Morgan needs to be faster than your damage dealers, so she can apply this before they attack. And remember, if you're just starting out, she only applies this for one turn, so you need to apply it when their attack gauge is low, like the guy on the far left, so then we have time for our damage dealers to come in. This guy's loaded up with 40%, 80% additional damage taken, and 40% less defense. So this hit should be pretty good. I mean, far better than the middle guy who took nothing. Like it was just a scratch on him. If you're not playing King Arthur Legends Rise, download it with the links down below. I'm going to head out, but I'm going to play one more fight and watch how powerful Morgan is in this. Watch how much she increases our damage overall on stage 10, Master of Death. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think about Morgan down below. Appreciate your time, your love, your support, and I will see you all in a video soon.